Hi, I'm Madeline, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the Catherine wheel. Now, for this stitch you'll need to know the single crochet and double, and we're going to be doing a variation of the double. Also, the stitch pattern calls for multiples of 10 plus 6. So whatever project you're going to be doing, make sure it's multiples of 10 and then add 6 stitches to that as well. So I've gone ahead and I've created a single crochet foundation row of 26 stitches, and I'm going to get right into it. So we're going to chain 1, turn, and single crochet into the first 2 stitches. 1, 2. Then we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to place our shell of 7 double crochets into the next stitch. So we're skipping 1, 2, 3, and then go in to that one with 7 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to skip 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and single into the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we're going to skip 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and a shell of 7 double crochets into this next stitch here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3 more singles. 1, 2, and 3. So if your project is longer than this, you just continue that pattern where you'd skip 3, then you do a shell of 7 double crochets, skip 3, do 3 single crochets, and you just continue that all the way down your row to your last 4 stitches. You skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and place 4 double crochets into the last stitch here. 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. Now, I'm actually going to undo the last bit of this stitch because I'm color changing on this next row. So the pattern itself has like 2 sections. So if you're color changing, you'll do 2 rows in each color. And the first and the last row would be the only 2 that have just 1 row of the pattern in that color. So I'm going to change here to my yellow. And so now I'm ready for row 2. I'm going to chain 1, turn, and place a single into the next 2. 1 and 2. So we're about to start our cluster here, and before we get started I just want to point out a couple of things. So we're going to cluster over 7 stitches. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Notice that the first 2 go in the last 2 double crochets from my previous row, and then the last 2 stitches of my cluster are going to go into the first 2 of my previous row. So 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3 into the singles, and then 1, 2. So that gives you a cluster of 7. If you remember that, where the beginning of your cluster should start in the last 2 of your previous row and should end in the first 2 of doubles of your previous row, that'll help you keep track of where you are if you ever were to miss a stitch in one of the shells or add too many stitches in one of the shells, to make sure that they even out and that your wheels are even. Now, the other thing that we need to know is that, let me chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to chain 3 here because once I do my cluster and I pull through, it's going to end it in the middle of the stitch here to create the center of that wheel. So you need to give yourself enough length. So we're going to chain 3 before we start our cluster. And the cluster is yarn over, insert into the next stitch, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, and draw through 2. Now right here I have a incomplete double crochet. If I were to yarn over and pull through the next two, that would just give me a double crochet, but I want to cluster here so they're all connected. So I'm going to place my incomplete double there, and then I'm going to create another one. Yarn over, insert, yarn over and draw through to connect it, and then yarn over and pull through two. So now I have two incomplete double crochets. I'm going to do that 5 more times. Drop one loop, yarn over and pull through two. Yarn over, insert, drop a loop, yarn over and draw through two. 1, 2, 3, 4 incomplete double crochets. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, draw through two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one more. So this gives me 7 incomplete, halfway finished double crochets. And then I have my loop here for my chain for a total of 8 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and draw through all 8 of those and chain to finish that off. Then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, there we go. And I'm going to place 1, 2, 3 singles into the top of the shell from the previous row. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and cluster again over the next 7. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, give myself enough length, and draw through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, draw through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, draw through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, draw through 2. And see how they've started here in my last 2 stitches for my shell from the previous row, and they're going to end in my first 2 stitches from my previous row. Insert, yarn over, draw through 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And see how that lines up there? Now I'm going to yarn over and draw through all 8 on my hook. Chain to complete, and then chain 3 to give yourself enough length. Single, single, and single. Now we're here at the end, so if your project is longer, you just keep repeating that pattern. You would chain 3, then cluster over 7, chain 3, 3 single crochet, chain 3, cluster over 7, chain 3, 3 single crochet, chain 3, then cluster over 7, chain 3, 3 single crochet. You continue that pattern for the length of your project until you get to the last 4 stitches. Then you're going to chain 3 and then cluster over the next 4. So we have 1, yarn over, insert, draw up a loop, draw through 2, yarn over, insert, draw up a loop, draw through 2, and that's 3. Yarn over, insert, draw up a loop, pull through 2, and that's 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And yarn over and pull through all of them. You're going to chain 1 to finish it, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're on to our next row. So this is, after this row, I'm going to change back to the green, but in order to finish these wheels, so you get a complete wheel in the same color, you're going to do sections of 2. So you're going to do 2 rows in each color that you choose if you're color changing on this, which I highly recommend that you do because it really makes the pattern stand out. So we're going to, this is a half cluster here, so we're going to only put 4 double crochets into this stitch here. We're actually going to put 3 because we're going to count this chain as a stitch. So we're going to put 3 more double crochets into this very center of the wheel. 1, 2, and 3. So that completes that half wheel there. We're going to skip over our chain, single crochet into our single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip our chain and 7 double crochets into the center of our cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. We're going to single into our singles. 1, 2, 3, skip the chain, and 7 double crochets into this cluster, right in the center of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to skip our chain and single into the next 2. Now here, I'm going to stop before I finish my stitch. I'm going to snip my yellow and come back in with my green. And we are ready to start the next row. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn. Now we're repeating this row that we did here. So now we're at the bottom of the next section, so the first part of the next section. So we're going to chain 3 and we're going to cluster over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 so that our singles land 1, 2, 3 into the top 3. Yarn over, insert, draw through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, and draw through 2. Okay, perfect. So now we are in our first 2 doubles from our previous row. We're going to yarn over and draw through all of the loops on our hook. Chain 1 to finish that, and we're going to chain 3 to give us enough length to do our singles. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and cluster over the remaining 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yarn over and draw through all loops. Chain 1 to close it, and then we will chain 3 and do our 3 singles. 1, 2, and 3. And we have one more cluster here. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And we will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook. Chain 1 to finish that. 1, 2, 3. And then now we have 2 stitches left because remember we counted this chain as a stitch. So we will single in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. So in order to continue on with this, you would just keep repeating those same 2 rows over and over again. So then the next row, you would chain 1, single, single, and then do your 7 double crochets here. Skip, single, 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 skip, 7 double crochets, skip, single, 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 and then at the end you would do 4 because that's a half of a wheel there. So you kind of have a half wheel on one side and a half wheel on the other side. And you would keep going because in the next row you would repeat what we just repeated here, and you would keep going until it was the length that you wanted. A big thing to remember is your wheels have to match up. So where you have your cluster, then you will have the shell on top, and where you have your singles for your shell row, that's where you'll put your singles, but then for the next row you will cluster over those singles. And then you always have to stop on the first section of the 2 rows of the colors so that you have a flat surface at the end. So I'm going to show you now how to finish this, because what I always do is I go back and just do a single row. So we're going to chain 1, turn, single in the first 2 singles, 1 and 2, and then you will do 3 single crochets into the chain 3 space. Then you will place 1 single into the middle of your cluster, and then you will place 3 single crochets into the chain space. 1, 2, 3. And then you will place 3 singles, 1, 2, and 3. And then you will place 3 singles into the chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. Single into the middle of the cluster, and then 3 singles into the chain 3 space. And 3 singles, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 singles into the chain space. And then you will end with 1 single into that cluster there. And that's how you complete the Catherine wheel. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, and tell me what you think about this stitch. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.